Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world at the moment as you're watching this. My name's Murphy, and I'm the creator of this YouTube channel, Bropunzel, which I think is a very apt name considering the length of my beard. You know, Bropunzel, Bropunzel, let down your hair. Sure, no problem. But jokes aside, I wanted to do this video to sort of like kick things off in terms of the reinvention of my YouTube channel. For years, I've operated it initially as a kind of repository for videos. So you'll have to excuse me if I look like I'm looking off centre of the camera because my lens is over here and I'm just filming this on the selfie camera of my phone, using my gimbal as well and my trusty microphone as well. But no, I mean, I started off my YouTube channel initially as a sort of like a repository for any of the videos that I'd been making or working on at the time. I used to put all sorts of stuff on there. I started off with a video of water fright at my friend's house. It's about 13 years ago, and I recently got rid of it because I recently completely emptied the videos off said YouTube channel, and there's a good reason for that. So there's some bikes in the way on the path ahead, so I'm gonna see if I can just calmly walk around them and not give the kids energy because it's a Sunday and I don't need to be doing that. So if you just bear with me for a moment, and then we'll carry on. Morning, kids. Could you just move one of these bikes, please? Thank you. Right. Thank you. See, yeah. So anyway, so for years I treated it as like a repository. Oh, there we go. Back on focus. Right. So yeah, so I treated it as like a repository for all my videos, and then when I started getting quite seriously into drone flying in 2022, I transformed it from simple video repository to Murphy Studios, which was a creative outlet that I created during the lockdown in 2020. Such a year that we shall not look back on with much fondness, as the late Queen Elizabeth used to describe as Anubis horribilis. God bless her soul. I really miss the late Queen Elizabeth. I truly believe she was like the mother of this country, and I realised that being a proud monarchist, absolute toe rag, bloody taxi driver, no consideration, whatever. So yeah, it seems to be quite unfashionable to be a monarchist, and but I'm not one for fitting in with societal and cultural norms. That's not me. It's not my identity. I am me, and I'll do as I bloody well please. So anyway, so I'm kind of going off tangent here. So yeah, that would be. So during the lockdown, I used to create a lot of like memes and TikToks and stuff, entertaining the masses. Well, I say the masses. A lot of my friends on Facebook who were struggling to cope with, their mental health during the lockdown, as many people did in the country. And I was quite well trained for it. I've been, suffering with anxiety problems, social anxiety. I felt I was well prepared for this, so it didn't bother me. But that's pretty much all it was, Murphy Studios when it started. I even based the logo for the studio on the Pornhub logo. Yeah. And then in 2022, when I started getting into drone flying, what I would do is I'd record footage with my drones, and then I would edit those drone videos together and make music videos out of it. Morning, pal. Yeah, so that's what I did with my channel for a long time. And then I started getting into like deeper sort of like artistic projects, and said art projects were, shall we say, very anti-God. I was heavily developing like my own ideas for an animated series. I had a story that I wanted to tell that would be a bit of a blend of dark fantasy and cyberpunk, and it was going to be called Legend of Tenka. And yeah, like I say, it was very anti-God, very anti-Christian, and my intention, not my sole intention, but one big goal I had for developing the series was to kind of present a strong case for atheism, even though I was a pantheist at the time. And I put a lot of effort and time and energy into it, such as a painting that I did of the old Majestic nightclub in Leeds. Took me nearly 3 years to paint because my painting skills weren't quite up to scratch. So it's kind of like the why the T1000 wasn't included in the first Terminator film, because the technology at the time wouldn't done it justice, and my drawing skills couldn't do my vision justice at the time. So I canned it and then picked it back up for the second time, canned that as well, because I didn't really can it as such the second effort, because what I started doing when I started to really develop like the masonry of the building, although the shading wasn't correct, I started developing a series of about 30 different completely fictional alcoholic drinks, which I wanted to use as holograms on the side of the building just to make it pop. And then when I finished the holograms, 30 of them, plus I had to redesign 5 of them because I weren't happy. So technically 35 holograms, although I only used 28 of them. Because, yeah, I went back to the building and I was dissatisfied with a lot of the shading techniques and stuff like that. So I created it again from scratch. So version number 3, painted that. And I was actually very happy with it. I even went so far as to paint a photorealistic nude model, naked. And I even spent like a couple of months designing tattoos and painting tattoos. And eventually, when I painted it all, I even managed to do like a really convincing puddle in front of the nightclub entrance with reflections off it that were, it looks good. I was well happy with it. And then I started developing like further ideas for, getting back into the development of the story, because the purpose of all this artwork was to create like concept art, help me generate ideas for what I wanted the visuals in the animated series to look like. Because my plan was to use Unreal Engine 5.3, which you may know is a video game engine used to produce a lot of AAA titles. I felt like video game and graphics technology had progressed to a point where I would love to have used it in an animated series. Although obviously I was still developing the story. A lot of the elements had matured in my head because I'd been working on the ideas for the story since early 2023. And that was kind of a bit of a funny Genesis moment, that was, because it was during a night of drunkenness where I had a couple of bottles of Baileys. And then, as I was quite drunk, I came up with this mad idea for a series. Like, I wanted to tell a story, and I wanted to tell my own sort of like cyberpunk kind of story since I was 17 years old. And then, I mean, some of this is not going to make sense. My intention is to tell testimony, but I'm not ready for that yet, because I'm still going through therapy. I've seen a psychotherapist. I was diagnosed last year with complex PTSD, and it's something that I've had for such a long time, but I didn't get diagnosed until last year. I became a Christian again on the 29th of September, so just over a month ago, and I gave my life back to God. And then I started to realise that, a lot of my artistic outlets were, not God-centred. And I wanted anything that I made to glorify God and, give glory to his name and to help encourage people towards a relationship with our Heavenly Father. So, and God really put it on my heart to do something about my media outlet. So I deleted all the videos from this YouTube channel. I'll be posting this to Facebook as well, but for all intents and purposes, I'm mainly recording this video for my YouTube channel, just to give some guys an explanation as well, and also to reintroduce myself. So I spent about half an hour deleting all the videos off my YouTube channel, and then relaunched it as Bropunzel, Faith, Wellness and Art, which is going to be my outlet for sharing my Christian faith, my wellness journey, because I started running again. I'm just crossing a busy road here, so it's going to be my place for sharing my Christian faith, my wellness journey. I've started getting back into running, and I've been losing a lot of weight. I'm on a Mediterranean diet, and also a place to share my art. So you're going to see a lot of music videos on here. I've already I posted one, I've made another, but I've yet to post that. But the music videos are all going to be God-centered. It's my intention to have to build a platform basically that's going to be God-centered. As I say, it's going to be a place for me to share my faith, my wellness journey, to to inspire people, to honour God's creation, our bodies. Treat them well, because we've only got one body, but we should look after it and live a good life, live a healthy life. And I can absolutely say with confidence and authority that the Mediterranean diet is the best possible diet that we can be on, for longevity, for health reasons. So, I know probably, I know I do a lot of like umming and ahhing and yeah and that and da da da. This video is completely unrehearsed, unscripted. I've had some ideas in my head of what I'd like to do for this intro video. It's a nice, beautiful, crisp Sunday morning. I'm just on my way to church at the moment. So I'm going to carry on babbling on for a little bit. And when I get to the church, I'm probably going to stop recording for a moment so I can grab a coffee. And then probably grab a few minutes with some of my brothers and sisters from within the church, such as my friend Cleo. Notification. I should probably have muted my phone for that kind of stuff. But hey ho, whatever. Just kind of adds to the impromptu ambiance. So it's a beautiful morning. Not too chilly. I'm just wearing a t-shirt at the moment. Most folks will probably feel wearing a jacket, but I want to get a nice stomp on, walk nice and briskly, keep myself warm, and just talk about me, talk about God. I want to get into church, which is based in a school, Coburn High School. Although recently my church has bought a building, so they're going to have a proper. We're going to have a proper home for our church. It'll be like a base centre for Christian activities and outreach into the community. It's going to be great. Oh, bear with me. I'm just looking into the distance. I hope church is on today. It's going to be so daft if it must be church today. I think they've probably not just put the signs out yet, because normally you have nice collapsible signs with the name of our church on it. But when I get in there, I'm going to grab a coffee and then resume recording because I just want to read a little bit out of Psalm 23. Quite a famous psalm, and for such a small passage, there's an awful lot of wisdom contained within. Right. So I'm nearly there, so I'm going to stop recording now. And as I say, I'll resume recording once I'm in. I've got my coffee and I'm sat down. So see you in a moment, guys. God bless you all. And if you're watching this and you need prayer for whatever reason, or you've got any questions, just pop it below in the comments. And God bless you all. Have a good morning. So, panic over. So, as you can probably tell by the wonderful noise of the worship music in the background, I wasn't. I don't know. Let me just start again. So the worry wasn't that I was too early. The worry that was the place even open. Sort of the sort of like the flexible outdoor sort of like flag type things that they normally post outside. They just hadn't gotten around to put them outside yet. They were still assembling them. So anyway, I won't babble too much because I want to have my coffee and I want to mingle a little bit as well. So I want to read from Psalm 23. Which is the Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So I'm going to try and break that down a little bit. Have a mouthful of coffee first. So that first bit of verse 1 is it's very self-explanatory. The Lord is my shepherd. So like we're like sheep, and sometimes it's tempting to think that we can go through our lives, leading our own sort of path and doing what we want. Sometimes we have a tendency to think that we know what's best, but when we give our lives to God and we give him control. He's the perfect shepherd, and his way just makes the most perfect sort of sense. And my testimony is testament to that, which as I say, I will share at some point in the near future. But when we make God our shepherd, we can be sure that we're going to live a life of goodness, and it's not going to be easy. But if we trust in God and we keep giving him control and letting him lead us, then life will make perfect sense. So we don't need to try and make sense of it ourselves. We can go for our lives and sometimes never find like true fulfillment. And do you know what I mean? It just makes perfect sense when we give our lives to God, because he'll never lead us astray. He'll never lead us into making bad decisions, and that's the whole sort of like talk of satisfaction. I shall not want, and it's true. When we give our lives to God, we're completely fulfilled. We find perfect sense of satisfaction in our life. Oh, morning. You're Richard, right?
Sorry.
What's your name?
I'm Richard.
Richard Alty.
We've not spoken before.
No, we haven't, but I'm going to speak to you after the service, Freedom in Christ thing.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Visual, so
Cool. I'll grab you after service. Right, yeah. So it was just a friend of mine within the church. Never actually spoken to him before, but my mentor, Bob, told me to reach out to him the following week. So that's what I'm going to try and do after the service. He makes me lie down in green pastures, and that's so key, in our lives. Sometimes we have a tendency to not put our listen to our bodies. We don't really listen to our bodies, and and this is very much true for me. I used to have, a horrible addiction to caffeine, horrible addiction to nicotine, horrible addiction to weed and all sorts of other drugs. Oh, why's my phone rocking like that? I'm going to turn off the rocking because it's getting a bit weird. All right, there we go. And sometimes we forget to rest, and we don't make, resting our bodies, going to sleep at a sensible time. We don't tend to make enough of a priority with that. So lying down in green pastures is just a perfect thing, And when we listen to God and we give Him control, He tells us when to lie down, and when we listen to God, from that sort of perspective, it's wonderful. We rest well. We have plenty of energy for the day. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. Again, it's all part of the whole looking after our bodies and God making sure that we do that. He leads in paths of righteousness for His name's sake, so it's representing the big man well. We live our lives according to the will of God, and we follow the example of Jesus, living good lives, good righteous lives, and as I say, representing God well, Morning, Jonah.
Morning, brother. How are you?
I'm good. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Life's chaotic sometimes, and there's and the and the enemy can be in many places, in subtle places in this world that we're not always aware of, and there's a lot out there that's against God and against Christians. We will fear no evil. So, despite what's going on in the world, as long as we cling to God and we live our lives according to God's will, then we'll be all right. You are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So the rod is used is a tool of a shepherd to fend off the wolves, and the staff basically it helps to keep the sheep on the right sort of path. You prepare a table for me in the presence of my enemies. That's to me speaks of victory. Laying the table. This beautiful big table. With your enemies in your presence as well. And you're surrounded by them. But when you give your life to God and you allow God into your life, and you can claim that victory in the midst of your enemies, in the middle of the world, in the midst of a chaotic world, and it's a beautiful table and a beautiful meal. You anoint my head with oil, so it's a coronation as well as a victory. That whole oil on the head is, it's done throughout the Old Testament, and even like in modern coronations, like when her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth was when she had her coronation, she was anointed with oil as well. My cup overflows. Well, it's not overflowing at the moment, but it's not just about having a full cup of coffee, but also it's having resources and abundance. You can't serve from an empty vessel. So again, that all ties back into lying down in green pastures and being led beside still waters. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Again, when you live your life according to God, according to His will, and you're generally doing your best. No one's perfect, but goodness and mercy will follow you when you give your life to God and you live according to His will. Representing the big man, leads me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. All the days of my life, as long as you keep doing that, you're golden. And I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Again, when you give your life to God and you live it well according to His will, then it's going to be all good. So, it's such a short psalm. There's three different sort of verses. There's three sort of sections. Lord is my shepherd, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And then you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. That's 6 verses in total. Psalm 23 is 6 verses. And as I say, probably the most famous of the Psalms, but in such a short passage, there's an incredible amount of wisdom. It's beautiful. But yeah, like I said earlier in the first half of the video, I wasn't sure exactly how this video was going to look. I wasn't totally sure about the things that I was going to say. And it's completely unrehearsed. I haven't had a script, but I would say this has gone well. I'm gonna need to obviously make sure that I figure out the sort of like technical sort of like niggles, like why my camera lock was spazzing out and misbehaving, sort of. But yeah, so I'm going to wrap this video up there. I'm going to, carry on drinking my coffee and mingle a little bit. But it's been absolutely wonderful to kick off my newly relaunched YouTube channel, Bropunzel, Faith, Wellness and Art. And it's an absolute joy to be able to share my faith, my wellness journey, which the wellness journey is going to come soon. I've kicked things off with sharing my art by, me sharing that first music video, which was shot in a day at Ilkley. My first music video that I've shot entirely in 4K. And as I say, I want everything to be God-centered. I want my life to act. What I want, or rather, what God wants for me is to be able to use my experiences, to help lead people into a relationship with Him. It's not about leading people to church, but to lead people into a relationship with Him. And I'm not saying that we should be lone wolf Christians. I believe that belief in God is individual, but following God is communal. So it's good to be able to share that walk with Christian brothers and sisters. They help to strengthen us and encourage us and motivate us, and sometimes admonish us. Love isn't just lovey. Sometimes love looks like, have you eaten yet? Have you been lying down in green pastures? Have you been going down by those still waters? But sometimes when we make mistakes in life, we all make mistakes. As I say, none of us are perfect. But sometimes we need a brother or sister just to tell us that, yeah, we've made a mistake, we've done something wrong, and that we should learn from it. But it's good to be able to have those experiences from people. To be admonished. It's good to be wrong. We shouldn't live in that wrongness when we know it's wrong, because that learning that we're wrong is such a wonderful opportunity for growth, and that we should never let our pride or our ego get in the way of that. That's what it's what we're meant to do, to learn, to grow. What is the best thing a garden can do for the gardener is to grow. But yeah, I'm going to get off now. I'm going to mingle, but I just want to say much love to you all. Thank you for watching this video, and more to come. But yeah, stay tuned and be well, and God bless you all.